Serious, what was something you saw you were definitely not supposed to see? Borrowed my dad's camera, found out he was gay. I love the simplicity of this comment. I do not possess the necessary linguistic capabilities to properly elucidate the gravity of the experience. Hard drive failed on my dad's computer. The data recovery software did a pretty good job really, but I could have done without it recovering nude and lingerie shots of the various women he's been banging behind my mother's back over the years. While my concern is more with things like financial details etc., rather than secret cheating photos. This is basically the answer to my friend's question as to why I dismantled my HDD and smashed the plate to dust before binning it. This is what you're supposed to do when disposing of drives. The code to open all the doors in my primary school at the time. A lot of power to open any locked door for an 8-year-old. I did theater tech in middle school, so they gave me a key to the theater so I could work on stuff when the building was closed. Only, it turned out that the key they gave me was a master. It opened any door in any building on campus built in the last 15-ish years. I told the assistant headmaster pretty much as soon as I figured this out. And he was cool with it since I was basically a responsible kid. But then, this one day, one of the faculty members locked himself out of his apartment and I let him back in. His wife was not pleased. And that's the story of how I lost my ability to work on theater tech stuff whenever I wanted. Are there apartments attached to this middle school? I'm confused. Boarding school or something? Yeah, it was a boarding school. David Copperfield show. I was at an angle that allowed me to see the volunteers running out from the stage during a disappearing act. I used to work in the basement of a pretty large hospital doing engineering work. They'll often cart dead bodies out of the hospital through the basement, so it's usually not a big deal. You just tend to try and ignore it. One time as I was finishing up a test in a pretty remote room, I walked out to an entire security detail escorting a body. I just got immediately shoved back into the room, so nothing really exciting happened, but I always wonder who that could have been. I work in a major hospital and we service everyone from politicians to celebrities. It was most likely a well-known person or possibly a person from a hot news report that the media was focused on, even if it was only a sheet and you couldn't see the body. The ordinary people, the reporters, and the paparazzi try their best to take photos. We have caught people pretending to be patients. We prevent ordinary people trying to sneak a picture, which can easily be sold or leaked. No matter how famous, in life or in death, a person is entitled to privacy and it is the hospital's responsibility to heal them and always protect their rights. I don't know if I wasn't supposed to see this, as I can't figure out any reasoning behind this beyond maybe exhibitionism. Though really I don't want to put exhibitionists in the same group as this couple because goodness gracious. I had a patient who was close to death and we called her daughter. She came and we set her up in the room to stay until her mother passed. She brought her boyfriend, which is not abnormal. I walked in to do my routine check and they were having sex on the cot that was set up for her, maybe 15 feet from her dying mother. I mostly didn't want to see, so I am answering this wrong. WTF, that's just wrong. Oh, I agree. I freaked a bit. They were both thrown out by my supervisor, though I wasn't sure what the appropriate response was. Her mother was dying, so I thought maybe just throwing out the so alone would be better so the patient wouldn't be alone. I didn't know the relationship, but I'm still unsure of the appropriate response. I did stay with the patient till the end and I hope she found her peace. I still can't comprehend the daughter's actions. My dad's AA chips. Learned it's why my parents got divorced. Proud of him for being in recovery though. My third job I had, at 17, was at a pizza place. I had 2 managers, one male, one female, and they were both married to other people. Well, I went to hand in my drawer at the end of one shift and walked into the office and there they were. just making out with some heavy petting. Their spouses found out. They left their families. And then those two managers got married to each other. As far as I know, they're still together. Edit. I am getting a lot of people sending me messages that are insulting me for having my third job by 17. Like wow, I didn't realize all you Redditors were so accomplished by 17. But my first job was detasseling. Like many other kids in my small Midwestern town. Then, I worked concessions at an outdoor pool. Once again, Midwestern town, so this outdoor pool was only open during the summer. So, then by 17, I needed another job, and thus, I arrived at the door of a Pizza Hut. Also no, I didn't tell their families. I was 17. I didn't even know these people's spouses. Their families found out, because they told them themselves. Because they both wanted divorces from their respective spouses. How do we have the same experience? Mine was at a pizza ranch. I guess pizza evokes hot passion. Pizza Ranch sounds like the fakest, most Disney background-ass prop name for a restaurant I've ever heard. It's on the level of Taco Emporium or something. Back when I was a teenager, we hosted a New Zealander at our house for a couple weeks. Guy gets to our place after the flight, and about 10 minutes later I'm walking around my house to see where he's at. The door to his room is partially open, and the dude is laying face down on the bed and humping the ever-loving fuck out of a pillow. I backed away slowly like Homer when he saw Apu cheating on his wife. I felt bad for the pillow. Edit. For all of you asking, no, it was not a wool pillow and it didn't resemble a sheep. As a New Zealander, I apologize to you and the pillow. What the actual fuck? 1. A used laptop from my female friend in a bet. She had a bunch of nudes on it. Edit. A lot of people are asking what the bet was. I drank a pot of Béarnaise for it. She was pretty drunk while making the bet, but I came around next morning to collect cause I didn't drink the pot of Béarnaise for nothing. If anybody wants to know how to drink a pot of Béarnaise, you just pretend it's soup. Also stop PMing me asking for the nudes. I deleted them as soon as I saw them, monsieur. This was no accident. I agree, she's sending mad hints bro. Happened when I was 7. I found the Tom and Jerry DVD I had lost in the back of a drawer. In celebration, I decided to watch it again. By the time my mother walked into the living room and saw me watching a threesome, I was already scarred for life. She took away the entire DVD collection. Similar thing happened when I was a kid, at my grandma's. She set me up in her adult stepson's bedroom while the adults upstairs did whatever. I can't remember, and after looking through his movie collection decided on a Spice Girls VHS to keep me entertained. Turned out it was some Spice Girls porn parody, and when she came back to check on me she quickly realized and pulled the tape out. I think she was more scarred than I was. I was a very young and forgetful girl, so I don't remember anything specific about it other than it was really dirty. I found invitations to my big surprise 18th birthday just lying on the floor a few weeks before the event. I had to act surprised when the time came to walk through the door to the party, which I did. The only thing is, my twin brother also knew, which I didn't know at the time. And let's just say his acting skills are really bad. So we both found out in different ways about the surprise party, but neither of us knew that we found out about it. So when I walked through the door for the surprise, I could tell from his reaction that he knew. Dude robbed a gas station. I was riding my bike in the back, saw him take off his mask and get in a car. We made eye contact. I turned my head and acted like I didn't see anything. When I was in my late teens, I was sitting with a friend in his car at a set of traffic lights about 3 a.m. on a quiet street in the city. At the next set of lights ahead, which was maybe 30 meters away, I saw a guy walk up to the car waiting for the lights to change. He extended his arm and fired a shot almost point-blank range at the passenger window, before quickly walking off. We sat there in shock for a minute thinking, did we just fucking see what we thought we saw? while the car sat there through 2 more light changes before slowly rolling away. No other cars were on the street at the time. The next day I saw on the news some dude from a gang called the Assyrian Kings was shot in the head in a car and died right around where we were the night before. We never said shit about it to anyone as we decided we didn't want to get involved. Being paranoid teenagers. This happened to my friend a few years ago in the US. Quiet residential street, million-dollar homes, in front of a brunch restaurant. When I was 11 I walked into my mom's bedroom and saw my mom and her husband doing a 69. We never spoke about it. Years later, when I was 24, she walked into my bedroom and saw my BF naked with a boner. We never spoke about that either. When I was a young teen I was once leaving my house to go do something in the neighborhood. As soon as I got out of the door I heard my parents at the garage. My mother seemed to be in her car, and my father was sitting down behind her car, and pleading with her not to leave. My parents were divorcing, and I saw a few scenes that I wish I never had. Not really horrific, but seeing your parents in emotional pain can be rough. That's rough. That reminds me of me walking out into the hallway and seeing my dad hit my mom for the first time when I was like 10. I couldn't sleep and I've always been a mama's boy and heard her crying. She was on the floor and my dad had a most evil glare in his eye. I just ran back to my room scared, and cried for my mom. Monsieur. Greater than seeing your parents in emotional pain can be rough. I was raised by my grandparents and was, for all intents and purposes, their 11th child. My uncle committed suicide when I was 12. It was the second child they'd lost, but the first death I was alive for. Hearing my grandmother break down and fall to her knees sobbing uncontrollably and seeing my otherwise stoic and rather emotionless grandfather's shoulders move because of how much he fought to control his sobbing is something that I haven't been able to scrub from my memory in 29 years. Those moments are as clear as any other memory I have. When we're young, we tend to think of our parents as a lot more than they really are. As a parent now, I've learned just how wrong I was and how good my grandparents were at reacting to their mistakes and the mistakes their children made. I owe so much of who I am to the monsieur. A while back someone posted a video of a father singing to his baby in the NICU after an emergency C-section. The baby had been taken out early because the mom has died unexpectedly overnight. The baby died shortly after. After I watched that, I felt like I had intruded on someone's private moment with their child, and that I was not supposed to see that. I filter the links I click on a lot more carefully now. I hope that man has found a way to begin his healing. Edit. For those asking. Yes, it's the man singing Blackbird. Damn, that is rough. A local guy where I live lost his mother, wife and all 3 of their children in a bad car accident recently. They interviewed him during one of the court proceedings during the driver who didn't die and is being charged with vehicle homicide. This was months later, maybe 6 or so. He was absolutely defeated. Where he was once a vibrant, proud young father, crushed me in a similar way as your story. That's one of the saddest stories I've ever read. I do conventions and corporate events for a living. Was once called into a room to fix a power cable. It was a meeting of a worldwide well-known house paint manufacturer. It was a closed-door meeting and I had to be let in to do my job quickly. They didn't stop talking as I did my work. We've pulled all the units from production and recalled all units on the shelves. But the ones still in transit cannot be recalled. They might be caught when they reach the sales floor if the retailers are still watching the recall. But it will have been weeks since we issued it. The guy who then responds to that states that they can prove they did their diligence in court with the recall, and any units sold to consumers will be the retailer's fault. I never did get to hear what the recall was for, but they seemed pretty tense over it, legally speaking, so I doubt it was quality control. I felt like I had witnessed the mafia talking about a murder. How long ago was this? It could have been an issue with lead in the paint, as it used to be a common ingredient. About 10 years, well past the lead laws. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.